It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, it's time for my 2022 holiday special. And folks, I decorated the studio here. You could see I have the sharp stockings hanging on the studio table with care. We got some Christmas tree decorations going on here. But I'm so excited for this year's holiday special. I got an interview with an elf. And this elf was the head elf at the North Pole's workshop. Worked for Santa Claus for his whole life. But he just got terminated. I reached out to Santa Claus last week and found out why he terminated this old elf. You know, what the hell's going on here? And I got his side of the story. And I reached out to Glenn the elf. I said, hey, I want to talk to you about this. I already talked to Santa. He agreed for the interview. But folks, this elf's important for all those friends of mine that sell supply and service print equipment, because this was the elf that had his elves that were underneath him, I guess, if you will, make all the products that you all sell. So without any further ado, we're going to jump on the Sharp Interactive board. I'm going to do this interview with this elf, but I do have a little housekeeping here real quick. I came up with a new rating system for some of these episodes. You'll see up here at the top of the screen, it says Rating MA. There could be some smoking, swearing, and satire upsetting some status quo. I just want to put that out there because a lot of times people get upset. If I put a rating on there, then they know what's coming, if you will. So let's get on that interview. Come on out here, Glenn the elf. There he is. How are you doing, brother? It's great to see you. I'm glad you agreed to do this episode.
Morning, Ray. I'm okay.
Well, I guess you can't be too cheery. You did get fired just right before Christmas, the busiest time of year for Santa Claus. You must have done something terrible. And, I talked to Santa, and he kind of gave me some insight here. But I got to ask you, Glenn, let's just start out with your story. I mean, how long have you been up there at the North Pole working at the workshop? Where are you going? Okay, he's leaving the workshop. He told me that he would do this interview. He agreed to it, and he just left. I don't know what he's doing. He's left the interview. I feel like I'm a Fargo. He's left the interview. What is he doing? My God, he's lighting a cigarette. I guess you don't give a shit about getting fired because you already got fired. Now you're smoking in the workshop. Hopefully you don't burn up anything. I mean, what are you doing, Glenn? Is this why you got fired? Because you're just a terrible elf or what?
I think my days were numbered, Ray. I got fired basically because I wasn't relevant, Santa told me. He said, I'm not relevant. How can I not be relevant? I had my staff of elves making all kinds of great things for the print industry. So apparently I wasn't making the right kind of things.
Well, here's what happened. So I talked to Santa, and that's what he kind of said the same thing. He said, Glenn's just gone past relevant. He's out there doing things that don't make any sense for an ever-changing industry. And so why weren't you relevant? I mean, why didn't you keep up with the times? I mean, obviously you've been doing this for like 20 years. I mean, what kept you in status quo, I guess?
Well, first of all, Ray, I think that the copier industry, and I'll call it the copier industry, I think they still believe that prints are important. And every time I went anywhere, I went to this conference in Arizona last winter, Ray, and everybody's talking about managed print services and things. So I'm thinking print's the way. So I went out and bought 11 by 17 stuff to make for the elves to make printers. I went out and got I've got a great, Ray, I got to tell you, I got a great deal on thermal paper for fax machines. I went out and bought all these things because everybody said at that meeting that print is going to be here.
Well, so you go to a meeting, and now you're convinced that so were you just hoping because they were so naive they would keep buying the products even though the end users weren't buying them? I mean, what? You have to have more sense than that. I mean, wasn't anybody warning you?
We've been making this stuff for years. My elves are trained at it. We can knock that stuff out quickly. We even started making electric car charging stations to put out there because that's what people were talking about. So the elves are right on top of it. It was consistent. It's the way we've been doing things. Why change the way we've been doing things?
Well, I got to tell you something. One of the things Santa...
Hey, Ray, cheers.
Well, there you go. He is pretty disgruntled. I got to tell you. So, Glenn, Santa said that you were always pretty good elf, but the problem is even the stuff you tried to innovate to, and you mentioned the electrical vehicle charging stations. He thought that was the craziest thing in the world for print people to be selling. But he said the thing that really got him frustrated was he went back in the warehouse and he saw like $1 million worth of thermostat machines. I mean, obviously, that's not going to be going out in the marketplace anytime soon.
Hey, Ray, that's what they told me they wanted. That's what I heard that they wanted. And that little son of a bitch, Rudolph came and told me, I need to start watching End of the Day with Ray so that I could find out what's new and innovative in the channel to be relevant. And I said, Rudolph, I've been doing it the same way all all the time. I'm not going to change it, little bastard.
So basically, well, Rudolph, now come on. He shines a light on your ineptness, okay? You like how I did that, shines the light? But he shines the light on your ineptness, and then all of a sudden, you're exposed to Santa. So I just gotta be honest. I try to always tell the truth on the end of the day with Ray. So I gotta tell you, I think if I was Santa, I would fire you too. But
thanks, Ray.
Maybe you should have listened to Rudolph. But here's a question I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you this question. So you're like 67 years old, right?
Somewhere in there. Yeah, I'm a little older than that.
Yeah. So obviously you can't go to the mall and get a job there. Standing next to Santa. That's probably not going to happen for you. The smoking and the drinking. Yeah, I don't think so. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do as an old man elf that's basically got terminated for being irrelevant because he wasn't listening to the market trends?
Well, let me tell you something. If that sweet old fat man can fire me, anybody can be fired for not being relevant. But I did hear that one of those leasing companies, I think it's Great America or something, is opening up a retirement community called the Valley Ho. And I think that's probably where I'll go. I could go there and be retired and hang out with all the people from the industry that are retired.
Well, did you pick? That's kind of an interesting name, the Valley Ho. It's kind of easy for you to remember because you've been hearing ho, ho, ho for so long. It'd be easy for you to find your home. But I got to tell you, Glenn, I feel sorry for you because you did a good job, I guess, for some of the time you were there at the workshop. But you just didn't pay attention to the realities in the marketplace. But it all started when you went to a meeting. The last meeting you went to, they were still talking about things like managed print services. They were still kind of inept at teaching you how to do e-commerce or anything relevant. And so I kind of feel sorry for you. Is there anything you want to, add? Maybe you can give a little bit of advice to our friends, or what could you say?
You're right. When I was out there, I met a lot of other people that are consultants, and they're running around telling people what they should be doing. And I figure before I retire, I should go out and be a consultant. And I can talk about MPS and all those other things because that's what they want to hear. And then at some point, I can retire to the Valley Ho. And I will tell everybody this, that to be relevant, you have to be involved with things that are going on. And I thought I wasn't. Rudolph.
Turns out he was right.
Yeah, but he snitched on me, right?
Well,
he took Santa out of the warehouse, and when he saw those 3 skids of thermal paper for fax machine, Santa about lost his mind.
Well, I think
I'm done with it.
Well, I'll tell you. Hang on a second, because what really drove Santa to write up the termination papers on you, because I know you guys got the union there, the elf union, so you got a little protection. You got to get past that. But it was when he found you doubling down on A3 print equipment. You're going to bring out new A3 models and stuff. He got all upset about that, and that was the end of the deal.
But the elves were good at making 11 by 17 trays. We made a ton of them.
Yeah, I guess you probably did over the years. Well, Glenn, I feel sorry for you, but at the end of the day, I think things will be better up there at the North Pole without you. I hate to say that. A lot of times I try to be nice to people that get fired, but in your case, I'm thinking because you were basing everything on irrelevant information, you probably deserve to get fired. Because everybody watching us knows this, Glenn. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, or you too might get fired.
Hey, Ray, thanks. And I'd like to wish everybody Merry Christmas.
Well, Glenn, I guess it is a Merry Christmas time of year, isn't it? Folks, hope you enjoy the holidays. I guess I should do that too.